There are nights when you just can't sleep. Not because you're busy, but because your heart is too tired to rest. You lie there, in the dark, wrapped in thoughts no one else can hear. So sit down, gently. Breathe in and out, and listen to this story, as if you were listening to your own heart. A story of quiet anxiety, invisible pain, and the moonlight that softly lit the way toward letting go. Under the full moon. Sleepless nights. The night was silent, broken only by the soft ticking of the clock on the wall. I lay in bed, eyes wide open in the dark, unable to sleep. It had been many nights like this, a loop of restless hours, anxiety, and grief. I stared at the ceiling, tracing imaginary cracks as if each one were a negative thought crawling through my mind. My body was exhausted, but my mind remained painfully awake. Every time I closed my eyes, fears and intrusive thoughts surged like crashing waves. I could hear my heartbeat thudding fast and loud in my chest, like it was trying to escape. My breathing was shallow and erratic. Sometimes I would sit up suddenly, clutching my chest, feeling like I couldn't breathe. Panic attacks came without warning. Tonight was no different. I curled up, hugging my knees to my chest, trying to breathe through the shaking. The darkness seemed heavier at night. I left the curtain slightly open, letting a faint moonbeam in. Outside, the nearly full moon shone brightly against the dark sky. Its pale light stretched across my room, casting everything in a cool, silver hue. I stared at that light and wondered when I had become such a stranger to myself. It had been months since I started feeling like this. Each day, I moved through life like a ghost, mechanically going through the motions. I avoided people, closed myself off. At night, when the world slept, my emptiness screamed the loudest. My soul was crumbling, little by little, like a building abandoned and left to rot. Joy had become a luxury. Even the smallest tasks, eating, stepping outside, felt insurmountable. Some nights, I cried silently into my pillow. Other nights, I couldn't even muster the strength to cry. I just stared into space, hollow, numb. Sometimes, terrifying thoughts whispered into my mind. Would anyone miss me if I disappeared? But then fear pulled me back. I buried my face deeper, ashamed of even thinking such things. I felt lost inside my own life, like I was shouting from a locked room and no one could hear me. The friend. I don't remember when I finally fell asleep. By the time I opened my eyes, daylight had already slipped through the cracks of my curtains. My head ached from sleep deprivation, and I sat up slowly, still weighted down by that all too familiar numbness. Suddenly, the doorbell rang. It startled me. I rarely had visitors. I dragged myself out of bed and opened the door. Standing there was Claire, my best friend from university. She smiled, but worry was clear in her eyes. I knew how I must have looked, sunken eyes, tangled hair, and pajamas I hadn't changed in days. "Hey," she said softly. "I tried calling you. I was getting worried." I looked away and gave a faint nod. Claire stepped inside quietly, setting down her bag. She didn't flinch at the mess, the scattered papers, empty food containers. Don't worry about it, she said, as if she could see the embarrassment flicker across my face. She walked over and gently held my hand. "I'm here. You don't have to go through this alone." Her words broke something in me. I didn't cry, not yet, but I felt something shift, a loosening of the tight knot I'd kept buried in my chest. Claire reached into her bag and pulled out 2 warm lunch boxes. "I brought food. Let's eat together." We sat on the floor in silence, eating slowly. Just having her there eased the heaviness. After cleaning up, Claire looked at me and said, "Tonight's a full moon. I want to try something with you. It's a healing ritual." I raised an eyebrow. "A what?" She smiled. "It's simple. We write down the things we want to let go of. Then we meditate. Then we burn the paper under the moonlight. It helps. It's not magic, but it's powerful." I hesitated. My instinct was to say no. But something about the sincerity in Claire's voice made me pause. I nodded slowly. "I'll pick you up at 8, she said. The ritual. That evening, Claire drove us out of the city. We parked near a small hill on the outskirts, then walked the rest of the way. The sky was vast, open, scattered with stars. The moon was full now, luminous and round, casting silver over everything. We laid a blanket down on the soft grass. Claire handed me a pen and a piece of paper. "Write what you need to let go of," she said. "It doesn't have to be perfect. Just be honest." I stared at the blank page. My hand trembled slightly. Then, slowly, I began to write. I let go of the guilt that keeps me awake. I let go of the fear that I'm not enough. I let go of the belief that I'm broken beyond repair. I let go of the voice that tells me I'm a burden. Tears welled up as the words spilled onto the paper. I didn't hold them back. I let them fall. When I finished, I folded the paper. Claire took out a lighter. "Ready?" I nodded. She lit the edge of my paper. Flames danced along the page, consuming the ink, the pain, the fear. I watched as smoke rose into the sky. I imagined my grief carried away by the wind. For the first time in a long while, I felt lighter. Not healed, but lighter. Claire looked at me, her eyes kind. "You did it," she whispered. We sat there in silence under the moonlight. No need for words. A flicker of light. Back home, the room still looked the same, but something inside me had shifted. I stood by the window and looked up at the moon once more. It was still glowing softly, gently illuminating the world below. I whispered a quiet thank you. To the moon. To Claire. To myself. Maybe I wasn't okay yet. But I had shown up. I had tried. And for now, that was enough. That night, I slept. Really slept. And when I woke the next morning, the sky seemed a little brighter. And the weight in my chest? Just a little bit lighter too.